Welcome friends to Literature Mantra. Today's topic of discussion is an analysis of the poem Names by Derek Walcott. What are the main ideas in the poem? How is it related to the history of the Caribbean, and how to write answers relating to the poem? Let's find out. Before moving on, I would like to announce that there is a flat discount of 70% on all our net courses for English literature. So please check it out. And in case you have doubts in any topic related to English literature, you can follow and contact us on social media. We will try to reply as soon as possible. The poem Names is part of a collection of poems titled Sea Grapes. This volume of poems was published in 1976. Now, what is the subject or main idea of the poem? One important idea is that names are intertwined with identity. Names, whether it be names of people, things, natural phenomenon, are intertwined with one's sense of identity and helps human beings understand the world better. Identity might be cultural identity, linguistic identity, and not just this, but one's identity is also deeply connected with one's history, one's environment or surroundings. Another important thing is that the perspective of a newcomer is used in the poem. A newcomer to the Caribbean, to be more precise. The poet persona also tries to highlight the incongruity in the way names are given to various objects or places on the Caribbean islands. There is a clear reference to a kind of identity crisis being faced by many newcomers to the islands. History of the Caribbean islands. The history of the Caribbean islands has been deeply shaped by colonial struggles of the European powers since the 15th century. First came the Spanish, who almost exterminated much of the original inhabitants of the islands. Then there was the French and the English, who fought for control over the islands, and they subsequently brought slaves and indentured laborers from across different parts of the world, particularly Africa, India, China, to work on sugar plantations on the islands. These newcomers, or the slaves and indentured laborers, almost faced a kind of identity crisis. They were thrown into a new environment, a new language was forced upon them. And Saint Lucia, which is an island in the Caribbean, is also the place where the poet Derek Walcott was born. On the map of the Caribbean, this is where Saint Lucia is located. Explanation of key ideas in the poem. The poet persona begins by saying that my race began as the sea began, with no nouns and with no horizon. Now, this comparison with the sea is made perhaps because even the water in the sea appears to have no starting or ending point, just as the persona's history seems to have no starting point. Then this mention of I began with no memory, I began with no future, perhaps because he is unable to connect with his roots. For the slaves and indentured laborers, or even their descendants, there is no sense of history. History is supposed to be continuous and uninterrupted. But for them, it is as though history began only with their arrival at the Caribbean islands. Again, there is a reference where it says that they attempt to trace their names on the sand, but the sea erases it again and again. And what is the relationship between names and nouns? The two words are very much connected to one another. Noun is nothing but a name of someone or something. Without a name, identification or assigning an identity is near to impossible. The poet persona questions the rationale and relevance of naming various things in the Caribbean islands after places in Europe, even though there is no resemblance between the two. Was the reason for this nostalgia or irony? This is the question of the poet persona. For example, the white settlers have given European names to various things found in the Caribbean islands. Example, a pigsty is named after Versailles. A pigsty is a place where pigs are kept as livestock animals, and Versailles is a place in France. And cabbage palms are named after the colonnades in Versailles. A cabbage palms refers to a variety of palm trees. Then a forest is named after Valencia. Valencia is a city in Spain, and these are places famous for their architectural excellence. But does it make sense to name a pigsty or a cabbage palm in the Caribbean after these places? This is the question. In the uncombed forest, in uncultivated grass, where was their elegance, except in their mockery? Now, the way the naming has been done, rather than sounding elegant, it seems to be a mockery. The poet persona also goes on to say that though the African acquiesced, he also changed it. This probably refers to the accent in which any word is spoken. Even though the names are imposed by Europeans, the pronunciation is slightly different. The pronunciation is one of the ways in which Africans changed the language imposed on them. In the end, the poet persona assumes the role of a teacher teaching kids. He tells them not to use the names of constellations in the sky as they have learned, but to say how those constellations appear to them in reality. Constellations are basically a group of stars. To this, the kids reply that the stars appear as fireflies caught in molasses. Therefore, a more direct correlation is established between language and reality. This is also consistent with Walcott's emphasis on what he calls the tribal accent. Walcott often mentions the tribal accent as important for non-native English speakers. Without the tribal or vernacular rhymes and rhythms, the non-native English speaker risks imitating former colonial masters. And this is what the teacher in the last two stanzas is trying to achieve, trying to introduce a local or native linguistic flavor in language. Now, important points for answer writing. Besides the points already mentioned, in answer writing you can mention the correlation between names and nouns. Anyone's identity is shaped by cultural, linguistic, historical, and even environmental factors. So talk about the loss of a sense of identity being experienced by descendants of the slaves or indentured laborers. And also talk about how the natives are trying to make sense of reality by renaming certain things to bring them more in consonance with real life as it is experienced by them. You can directly access a list of the main points related to this poem on our Instagram page. And if you want to watch a brief biography of Derek Walcott, check out our YouTube channel or click on the link given in the description below. I am Professor Singh and I thank you for watching. And if you want to see a video of your choice, please send us a request using the link below. And to get notified when we upload a new video, click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you once again and have a great day.